I wanted to bring you back here and show you a couple things that I've run into. I'm not saying they're bad things, but I'm a bit confused. How does that sound? Okay, the balancer, excuse me, I'm sorry, the timing cover, the Lincoln one I took off because it didn't have the place for the mechanical fuel pump, which I ended up not being able to use, like you will find out, or have already found out. And the dipstick tube goes up here in the front, which this one did not work. This is from low car. It's not even remotely close. It doesn't fit the hole right, which is probably the timing cover's fault. I'm sure it's from China. And it's built in such a way that the way this is cast, it won't allow it to go in. I ordered a chrome one from AutoZone, won't be in for several days, but it's from Spectre. At least on the chrome one, I could beat the crap out of it and not have to worry about this thing. It's just nothing to... And I just broke it. Maybe it was supposed to break off there. I don't think so, but just broke it off. That's not a good sign. Maybe it's supposed to do that. I don't know. Another problem I must work myself through. Man, I don't want to take this timing cover back off here at all, so I hope this comes off, because this is bad if it don't. Oh no. Okay, I got it out. You know what? I bet it was supposed to. It had an O-ring here. Either that or it's just really thin. Anyway, I got it out, so that's at least crisis averted. Okay, here's where my problem is, though. The timing cover I bought for the old style, what I'm going to consider the old style engine, because of, again, the dipstick tube goes in the front and mechanical fuel pump. It came in, and when I bolted it bolts up exactly the same. So you're asking yourself what the problem is. Well, here's the thing. Here's my new water pump. I bought an aluminum one because I wanted an aluminum one over the cast. Maybe that was a mistake. It doesn't matter. I'm trying to shed some weight, as long, because this thing isn't very powerful. So, it'd be nice to have something. Well, anyway, it doesn't make a difference. What I'm running into, though, is the gasket. It came with my gasket set, which was for the Lincoln engine. Okay, I have it upside down. It will bolt, maybe, to several of the locations, but what I've realized is that it's open, the gasket's open in the center. And although I don't think there's anything wrong with that, the gasket does not, let me put this water pump down. I know this may be hard for you guys to see, but the gasket does not lay on this, so it's open right here. So even though it is where it belongs, and this is open right through here, coolant is just going to pour out of this. So this gasket that is specific for the Lincoln engine will not work. And the old timing cover's over there. I guess I could pick it up and look at it. Hang on, let me walk in front of the camera because I was not prepared for this. I'm just trying to see what the difference here is, because I'm a bit confused. No, it's built exactly the same, which I thought it was. So that water pump, or the gasket, excuse me, I'm not sure if you can see that next to it, yeah, was not designed for the water pump gasket I got with the Felpro set did not go with this. So, this obviously is not a good thing. But everything else looks exactly the same. I mean, all the bowl holes line up and everything is exactly the same. So the new water pump I got came with a gasket, of course, which is pretty common. So you put it on there upside down. Oops, come on now. How hard is this? Anyway, so you put it on there, and as you can see, maybe, it lines up with nothing. What have I done wrong here? Boy, I'm having heck today. So as you can see, though, the bolt holes all line up. It even covers this bottom piece that wasn't going to be covered before, and it's sealed here and here on these sides so that there's no way liquid could come out and even get in that area, which to me is better. You don't really want it in there anyway. There is a weep hole there, so I mean it's going to leak through either way. So this gasket will work. But, and it will work with a pump. But here's the thing. These two holes, not there. Could I drill the holes? Absolutely. However, the new pump does not have those holes either. The old one does. The new one does not. So my question is, will this bolt, and this one, and not these two here, because I know they still got three bolts here, will that be enough to not have this leak? I don't know. So, you know me, I'm going to try it because I want to get this done, and I don't know. Hello? Hello?
Hello, this is Diana, and I'm calling from State Health Medicare. How are you doing today?
Wow, Medicare, huh? Do you think I'm old enough for Medicare?
No.
Yes, that's what I thought. I love when people just call for no reason. Anyway, so we're going to give this a try, and I'm going to go ahead and just make it work. I don't know what else to do. Now, I'm going to tell you this. The furnace is going to kick on here in a second. I'm going to reuse the old bolts, and the reason I'm using the old bolts is because I'm putting just a little bit on this to help seal this up. Maybe. Well, how much is in this tube? Nothing? I'm going to, well, I like to use just a little bit of this gasket maker on here. It actually holds the gasket while I'm doing it, but the biggest thing here is I don't know where this Chinese piece of equipment was made. So the odds of it leaking are pretty good. Anyway, I really don't even need it down here because, like I said, there's a weep hole down here, but I just want for the gasket to sit still. I asked that lady, I said, do I sound old enough to be on Medicare? And she said no, and hung up on me. I'm closer than I want to be, but I'm not Medicare age yet. So anyway, sometimes I wonder how, let me get this crap off my finger. Now I'm going to leave it on there because I need to. It's still pretty close to not, the gasket's still pretty close to not hitting all the way around. Anyway, where I was going with this though is I'm going to reuse the old bolts because I'm reusing a majority of the accessories off the Lincoln, and I'm doing that because I don't have the time or money to figure out how to make something else work. Ford is just way beyond my expertise when it comes to figuring out what will fit with what and why and when. On a Chevrolet, it's pretty much all the same, and it's just not that way with this Ford stuff at all. So I think if I had it to do over again, I probably would have tried to find a clapped out Mustang GT with a 5-speed already, where I could have had the 5-speed and the right drive shaft end and a few other things here and there, and then I could have possibly then gotten a better system with the fuel injection, be able to use the factory stuff. The Lincoln stuff just isn't, I mean, I could use it, but this car was sat for a long time and some of the wiring was ate up a bit, and there's some other stuff too that, you know, I have to move that around a bit. But anyway, long story short, I would have had different accessories that looked a little bit better, fit a little bit better. So I probably should have done that. I mean, the Mustang, I would have probably just trashed out anyway. But I think the biggest thing was I would have had that stuff, like I said. And well, half my bolts fell out. Didn't really expect that. That ain't good. They're all different lengths. Yeah, of course they are. I figured it out. Anyway. Well, it's just in 2 small bolts. They don't even go all the way through. I see now. Anyway, normally I wouldn't use these. Man, you know what I didn't do? Told you I was gonna annex these bolts so they won't stick in there. They walk in front of the camera again. see. Oh, here you are. I wasn't going to put this water pump on either until I had it in the actual car, but I just decided to go ahead and do it. Okay, what I'm doing, even though these are dirty, it doesn't really make any difference. I'm actually aniseed. Oh, big blob. I'm going to stick to my shoe, make a big mess, crack it in the house. The reason I'm doing this is because these things are just so nasty, and they just don't like. They don't like being. You got different materials, I guess is where I'm going with this. And running different materials makes this stuff corrode and rust together. Ford used this same setup for years and years and years. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I mean, I know I've cussed it here shorter in the past, but where did I take this one out of? Underneath that hose, must be this one. Get this lined up. I know you can't see what I'm doing. I'm trying to get the gasket lined up. Oops. Guess first. Need to get this in there where it belongs. I know, I'm still in front of the camera. But anyway, these old bolts, I'm using these old bolts because that one. Hang on a minute. That thing's moving around too much for me. What size it is? There's a back plate on these, and it's got two bolts that holds it together. And this moves way too easy. Where am I at here? I don't even know what size this is. It doesn't appear to be 7/16. Nope. Just a wrench I grabbed. You find a 1/2 inch somewhere, 13 or something. 3/8. The reason I want to get this partially together though, I want to clean this up more. I cannot stand this mess. I cannot find anything. Ugh. I mean, that thing's loose. And I'm turning it the wrong way, idiot. Backwards, so it means it's backwards for everything, right? No. Yeah, that thing was real loose. Anyway, there's a backing plate on there. It's two bolted already, and there's a gasket already between it. That's also kind of a common thing. That one wasn't near as loose as the other side. All right. So, like I said, the biggest ones that need this done are the ones that go in that. This thing's wet. Seriously? Just want to put something in there where these things don't corrode in there, because this water pump, being Chinese, I don't know how much time I give it. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get this stuff is whatever is on there is not coming off. I should have put this stuff in my oh, I have some of that rust remover garbage, whatever you want to call it. I have seen these bolts. I said that when I took this apart. I have seen these bolts actually 8.5 right there in the center, where it had either leaked coolant or just had rotted away so bad that yeah, it actually ate the long ones, and they get stuck in a block and everything. Okay. Anyway, like I said, if a minute ago, if I had to do it over again, I probably would have gone that route. I can find, if I'm not in a big hurry, as well, especially if I'm not looking. It seems like finding a Mustang GT clapped out with a bad motor, bad clutch, bad transmission, been wrecked, something like that with a 5-speed. I could find them for $1,800 to $2,500. I mean, it is still a lot of money for something that's going to be stripped, but I would have had some things there. I could have used the clutch assembly, the cable setup instead of the mechanical. Maybe that would have saved me a bit of time. You know, there's probably a handful of things that I could have used. Also, like I said, the 5-speed probably would have been junk, but they're not hard to rebuild, and the rebuild kit's everywhere. So I could have even rebuilt it and used it. I would have had the, I could have made that drive shaft possibly work. You know, there's several things I could have possibly have made work. So, yeah, you know, I could have used that fuel injection. I could have used that set of accessories, which are completely in a different location. There's endless supply parts for the Mustang GT over the Lincoln engine. The engines are basically the same, but they were different heads, different cams, different intake manifolds, different. You know, I could go on and on. But anyway, so okay, things are big. Okay, I know I keep walking from the camera. Basically, where we're at though is I wasn't going to put all this stuff on here, and what changed my mind was having all that trouble with that front, with this distributor hold down or picking up that rod. Okay, I really want to do it around. Where these water, this is where it needs to definitely not leak. Alright, let's see how tight I'm getting them. I'm not, you know, getting on them hard. It sounds worse. Those machines always sound like they're a lot worse than what you're doing. Yeah, they're pretty tight. Not tight enough I can't get more, you know, more out of them. Come on, get on, there we go. But there's a gasket between there, like I said too. I know I'm jumping around because I can't remember what I'm thinking about one second to the next. Okay, let's make sure it still turns. That still turns. Okay, anyway, let's get back on what I was actually talking about instead of keep forgetting what I'm saying. Normally I'd replace these bolts, but we'll get back to the accessory stuff. I pre-fit all the accessory garbage 20 times off. I did it on camera, but I didn't actually put any of it out because the struggles. Oh my goodness. Anyway, with that said, what we did run into is, or what I ran into personally was the Lincoln accessories will work. They're just terribly ugly. And accessories meaning I don't think the AC stuff is going to work. I'm going to go ahead and paint it up, clean it up, put it on with the old compressor and everything just to make sure it's all on. I don't have to put it on, but I'm going to cover up this exhaust hole because whatever AC heat unit I use aftermarket is obviously not designed for the Lincoln double serpentine belt system. And again, I probably should have went with a Mustang GT system, because I bet if I call them and tell them that, hey, I got a Mustang GT5, oh, I'm using their compressor, their brackets, there, I bet you they've already got it set up. When you call them and tell them you're putting a Lincoln engine in a Mustang that many years apart from each other, they'll tell me I have a compressor that will bolt to a 5-liter. You have to make it line up and work with the accessories you have. I guarantee that's what's going to end up happening. And what the biggest problem is I have a double serpentine belt for the crank. I've only got a single for the alternator or power water pump, so that throws everything off. The power steering seems to fit fine. I still have to make one of the lines work with what I have, but that's easy to me. It's the easier part of it. The alternator will bolt up, but it uses all electronic crap to work, and so I think that the Mustang one, the factory one, looks like the arbor is almost the same size. I won't know until I take it apart. I think I can actually take the pulley off of they have the same rotation. I checked that also. The way the fins are designed, I'll show you that when we get into that point. But anyway, I think I could take the alternator off of this car and put it in its place. It looks like very little shimming or very little modification. I can make that fit and not have to worry about the Lincoln one. But then I'll still have the serpentine belt. So I don't think that's a problem. AC is going to be the biggest problem. Okay, getting back to why I put the water pump on. This thing was such a hassle, meaning I keep pulling this drive rod out of the oil pump, and it's almost impossible to get back in. I did, the first time it didn't do it. The second time I did manage to get it back in there. But I think my decision is made that I'm now going to put the intake manifold on. It's right now drying. I've actually put, I'm putting 4 coats of satin clear on it, just like I did this water pump. And the reason I did that is for cleaning purposes, and it doesn't get that yellow or that white garbage on it, you know, when it gets stuff on it. So I tried, that was what I decided to try, was to actually use a clear coat on them. And I'm doing the same thing with that intake manifold, because you get oil on them, and you get fingerprints on them, you get antifreeze on them, because almost inevitably you either spill or it leaks somewhere when you first put it together. And it always stains them up just a bit. And this isn't a show engine, but I want it to stay as clean as possible, as long as possible. So with that said, as I'm going to put the intake manifold on, and then I'm going to go ahead and put my distributor in it. And that way, as much as I may even put the valve covers on. This side here, I had full oil flow to all the rockers. This side here, the back one was not. So what I may do is, once I get this on here, I may go ahead and put this valve cover on, turn the engine just a little bit more sideways. I have more oil because I'm a quart low. I think I told you that. I've got 4 quarts in it. It really needs 5. And then what I may do is tilt this engine just a tad so the oil doesn't keep running out on the floor. And then I may go ahead and spin this up again and make sure it's spinning the engine at the same time, and try to make sure that that's completely lubed. Make sure that I'm getting lube everywhere. It's just that one lifter's not picking up. It's not priming up right. It's either last in line, or who knows why. There's some reason why it's not doing it, but it will pick it up. I mean, it's just no way around it. I mean, I'm putting 60 pounds on it when I'm using the drill at the fast speed. It actually kicked my drill out. Slow speed, it's like 40 to 50 pounds cold oil at 1540 weight diesel oil. Anyway, then once I reprime it, make sure everything's going, I'm going to go ahead and put my distributor in it and just fight around it, putting the engine in. I just don't see any other way around, because if I put this engine in and then I pull this out and that stinking oil pump drive rod falls off and falls down the bottom of that pan again, I got to pull the engine out anyway. So most likely to get the pan off. I may not, but I'm not gonna fight it under the car. I guess is what I'm saying. So all right, guys, I just want to bring you back, showing you that there was some differences in these pumps. The differences was there's 2 bolt holes here that were not. The bolts are still here, and they only go through into that deal. I don't know why, and hopefully this does not cause me issues, but it's me. So anyway, all right, guys, I'll bring you back here. Yeah, I wanted to bring you back real quick before we got off this. I actually dug through the box, and there was a whole bunch more gasket setups in there for Felpro for the. So this one would have worked. Odd though, this one here was actually in a separate plastic bag. It's the first one I pulled out. It was with the timing cover gasket, so that's why I just grabbed it. I dug through the bottom looking for some the intake manifold gaskets, and ran across this gasket and that gasket, which looks exactly like this one. I have no idea what's going on. Oh, you know what? I bet you the timing cover gasket was actually, or timing cover, I bet you had its own gasket set. I bet you that's what it was, now that I think about it. And I just threw it in there just to keep all the gaskets together. So there was a gasket in there. I mean, Felpro's never done me wrong like that. And it was set up to have that extra bolt as well, just in case or whatever. So I just want to bring you back and show you. It was there. I just did not look far enough.